Hi, everyone, and welcome to Custom Google Classroom Headers. It is 2 o'clock. We will go ahead and get started. My name is Laurel Marion. I'm a technology consultant at the Gallia-Vinton ESC. I'm a Google Educator Level 1 and 2, a Google Certified Trainer, and a Removebg coach. We'd like to welcome you to the last session of our virtual workshop, hoping that you've gotten some valuable information that you can take back and use in your classrooms. So today's session, Google Classroom Headers, we're going to try to spice up your Google Classroom header and help build a positive classroom culture. I'll be demonstrating as I am showing the slides. You're going to learn on the agenda, learn tips and tricks, decide the level of classroom header to create. You may just need to watch and decide. So when I say that, I just mean that depending on your skill level, using Google Slides or using other tools, you may just want to start with a basic classroom header, or you may want to watch a more advanced version and then try that on your own. And then we'll look at some other ideas for classroom use. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and I will answer them during the pauses. So let's look at a Google Classroom header. Keep in mind that there's things in your Google Classroom header that you can't move. So when you title your Google Classroom, the title comes up in the same place every time. If you add a section such as period 1, then that does not move either. So keep in mind when you're designing your header that some of these items on your header will not move. I'm going to just take a quick pause here and make sure that I am recording. Yes, I am. Okay. All right. So for example, the things that don't move. The top header is one that I designed, not thinking about the name of my class. And so once I uploaded it to Classroom, then those words, your title, do appear. So just keep that in mind when you are designing your header. So let's look at some examples, look at some different levels of what you can create today. The first two are headers with no motion in them. They're just static backgrounds or just a colored background, different text, maybe add your Bitmoji. And if you watched Wendy's session right before mine, she really talked about Bitmojis and a Bitmoji Chrome extension. So that was very helpful. The bottom example added some clip art, added some different text, another background, added a Bitmoji. And both of these were created in slides, and then they were downloaded as a PNG image file. An example or two examples, when you're using motion, you can add motion with animated GIFs. GIFs are actually image files. The top was created in slides, and the GIF is the snowman, and he's giving movement with his image. The bottom was also created in Google Slides. The GIF is used in the background. So these are examples of how you can add a little bit of motion. The next example, and this is the most advanced, is using a stop motion sequence. So stop motion is, the top one is created in slides. You can see that there's movement with the words, there's movement with my Bitmoji, there's movement with GIFs as snowflakes. This is downloaded as a GIF file, and it uses a Chrome extension to create it. And the Chrome extension is called Chrome Capture. The bottom one was a stop motion, and it was created in Canva. So it's also downloaded as a GIF file. So as we move through this session today, I am going to demonstrate how to do each one of these. And as you go along, you can decide how advanced that you want your slides to be. So moving along, I said most of these are created in Google Slides. So in Google Slides, you have to have a certain size. So what you would do would be open Slides, just a blank slide. All of them usually have the title first, and I just want to get rid of that. So I can just draw a box around those so that they're both selected and use the delete button on my keyboard to delete. So I've got a blank size. And then I will go to File, Page Setup, click the down arrow and choose Custom. And the custom size for a Google Classroom header is 1600 by 400, and it's not inches, it's in pixels. So I'm going to change the measurement to pixels and click Apply. So that's how you would size your slides to begin. I have in the chat an attendance form, first of all, that you'll need to fill in, but I also have a link to the slide deck so that you can use the slide deck as a guide. You're also welcome to follow along with me today if you'd like, and there is a set of already sized Google Classroom headers in the chat that you can open and follow along. Once again, this is all going to be up to you. The beauty of having a live session and then a recorded session is that you can follow along the way you want to. You can create as we go, or you can wait on the recording that will be in the Google Classroom, and you can just follow the recording that's in the classroom and pause when you need to. So let's look at some slides that I've already started. So you can see that I've got a whole slide deck of blank slides. So I'm just going to move down here to my first blank slide. And step one is deciding on a background. So I've got all kinds of ways that you can find a background, just from simple to more advanced. So I'm going to start with the simplest way, and that's just using the background button within Google Slides. So I'm going to click on my color button, and you can use any of the default colors that are in Google Slides. You can also click on the gradient tab and choose a gradient. So maybe just choose something that looks good to you. I'm going to just choose maybe a light blue, and then I will click Done. Another way that you can find background colors is by using Canva Colors. And so Canva Colors is a color palettes, and the link is in the slide deck, color palettes that are already made for you. So if you're not very good at putting colors together, this might be a good place for you to go. So if I scroll down through here, Canva has designed all of these color palettes for me, and I'm going to slide down to the one called the Icy Gradient and click on it. Because what Canva does in Canva Colors, it takes an image and it pulls out the most prominent colors in that image, puts them down below it, and then gives you the name of the color as well as the little code beneath it. And the code beneath it is called the hex code. And so that's just a common code that if I would copy that code and go back to my slides and go back to the background button, choose the color button again, down in here where it says custom, there's a little plus sign. And I can take that plus sign and paste. We'll delete out the code that's in there. And well, that was not the color code. I must have forgotten to copy that. So let me just go back. So I've got it selected. So let me copy that again and go back to my slide and the color background and paste that in. And when I say okay and done, I now have the color that was from this Canva color combination. So that's just a level up. If you'd like to choose a color from there, you can also go to Canva and look at their color generator. So maybe you have an image on your desktop or in your computer that you would like the colors pulled from that. So I can upload an image, and here I have a snow scene. And as soon as I upload it, the Canva color generator pulls out those important colors, gives me the hex codes, and I could copy one of those and put into my background. There's also another Chrome extension that I like to use. It's called ColorZilla, and if you click on the link in the slide deck, it will take you to the Chrome extension to install it. And what it does is it's a color picker, and it will, when activated, will come down into any web page and pull out colors. So maybe Canva, the generator, didn't pick this pink that you really wanted, and so you can take your color picker and slide down in here and find that pink. And when you click on it, you can see at the top of my screen that that code was copied to my clipboard. So I can go back to my slides. I'm just going to choose the top slide, and I think I'll just change the color of that. So I can go back to background, go back to custom, take out the hex codes that's there and paste mine in, say okay and done. And now I have a color that was picked from a website. So that's another way that you can find different background colors. And if you want to take this to another level, then you can add a GIF, an animated GIF to your background. And to do that, you would just open up your browser, and in the search box, you can search for a snowy GIF background. Well, I've already done that search so that it would be ready for you. So you can see when you search for an animated GIF that Google tags those with the label GIF so that you know that you are getting an animated GIF. So when I click on this one, for example, I can see that it's going to be a transparent GIF. It also gives me some related ones. And one of the things that I want to think about is the width of this Google Classroom header is probably going to be a lot wider than what this GIF width is going to be. So I'm going to probably have to stretch it. And you want to be careful when you're stretching. Let me give you an example. So this is an example of a GIF that I inserted in my background, but when I stretched it, it made the snowflakes a little distorted. So you want to find one maybe that has not so big as snowflakes in it so that when you stretch it, it doesn't become so distorted. So I already have one that I've downloaded on my desktop. So I'm going to stick with this background button, and this time, instead of going to the color option, I'm going to say choose image. And because I have that on my desktop already, I'm going to browse for that. And now I have an animated GIF that's going to be the background for this Google Classroom header. All right, so those are options for your headers. In the slide deck, if you look at this, this just shows you the steps, if you were following the slide deck for reference, on how you would insert that header. So what I need for you in the chat, if you're following along, is tell me how you feel about creating a background for your Google Classroom header. And notice that I used my Bitmoji. So 1, do you feel really good about it? 2, I'm just okay. 3, I'm a little bit frustrated. Or 4, I didn't get it at all. All right, so we've got some 1s and 2s, so we have a little bit of participation. So let's go ahead and stop for just a minute. So for this presentation, for the time constraints, I usually like to give you time to go ahead and create. If you feel like you are ready to do this and you can take those blank Google slides that I put in the chat, feel free to go ahead and create with me. If you're watching live and you just want to watch, and then create later, that's fine. And if you're in the recording, which is posted in Google Classroom, then this is a good time for you to pause and create. Again, in the slide deck, if you click this link, it will make you a copy of the correctly sized Google Classroom headers. And so at this point, if you were going to pause and create, you would explore these background options and create your own background. But for time purposes today, we're just going to move right on. So let's look at step 2, which is images and text. So I'm going to start back up on my pink background. So you can add clip art, photos, Bitmojis. You can search for your own images. You can add the animated Giphy images. You can search Google for transparent images and use or you can use Remove Background, which is a website that I'm going to show you how to use to make your own transparent images. So let's just start at the top. Let's just say that you want to add clip art within slides. So you're going to go to Insert an Image and say Search the Web. And I'm going to search for a snowman, and I'm going to add the word clip art so that I get just clip art for this. And so I can scroll down through here until I find snowman that I like. And I can do one of two things. I can click on this snowman and come down here and say insert, or I can just drag him over into my slide. I'm going to go ahead and click insert. Now, remember when I'm creating that my class name is probably going to come up right in here. So I'm going to focus some of my content over here on the other side. When I move my snowman over to the right-hand side, now I feel like he's facing the wrong way. So don't forget that you have editing tools built right in your slides. And I'm going to choose rotate, and I'm going to flip that snowman horizontally. So now he's facing towards the center. All right, I can also add photos, Bitmojis. If you were in Wendy's Bitmoji classroom session, she did talk about adding the Bitmoji extension to your Chrome bar, which I have done. And so you can go up to your Bitmoji Chrome extension. And if you just type in the word snowing, I'm going to get a lot of options that I can use for my Bitmoji. So I'm just going to grab that one, drag it down. Wendy also showed you the correct way to size your images. If you start pulling just on sides, you can see that your image becomes distorted. So anytime you're sizing, always grab a hold of a corner so that you're proportionally sizing. So I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller, also considering that the name of my classroom is going to be right in here. All right, so what if you want an animated image? Well, I use the Chrome extension called Giphy, and on the slide deck, any of these links will take you straight to these resources. So I have the Giphy Chrome extension on my toolbar, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click snowman on here. I'm going to search for snowman in the Giphy extension. And I like to come down here and use the stickers so that they have transparent backgrounds. So here are several animated snowmen that I can use, and I should be able to choose one.
Laurel, I think there's somebody maybe in the waiting room.
Yep. Thank you so much, Erin. We just get to talking and we don't see that. Sorry about that, Bobby Joe. Sorry, Bobby Joe, I didn't see you. All right, so I can pick one of these animated GIFs in Giphy, and I can just drag that right down. Well, that one didn't let me. So if it won't let you drag, you can right click on it and copy it, and then you can just paste it. Once again, grab a hold of a corner to size so that it's proportionate. And that did not work either. Let me try that again. Let's try one that's going to show up a little bit better too. There we go. So on all of the things that you're creating, you can always, there's sometimes that things just don't work. You might just have to back up and choose something else. So let's size him. So now for this example, I have a solid background, but I have an animated GIF. So I'm adding some movement with that image. All right. And I already have this background with the animation in the background. So one of the things you also want to consider is not to make your classroom header too busy. So adding an animated image on top of this animated background might be too much. So for this one, I'm just going to find a photograph that from the web that I want to add. So I have already searched for the snowman that I like, because this was a really good example. So I searched for snowman. I found this cute snowman that I like, but he's got a background. And so if I would insert him into my Google slide right now and upload him from the computer, this is what he's going to look like. Well, I just uploaded the wrong one because I wanted to show you what he looked like without. Maybe I already did that. There we go. All right, so see how he's got a background in there, and I don't think that that looks as neat as it could. So I use a website called Removebg, and it allows you to upload images and remove the backgrounds, and it's completely free. So I am going to upload that very image into Removebg, and you can see it's kind of working. Well, it worked a little bit too much, because right in here, you can see that it took out a lot of his body. So Removebg has an edit tool. And if I click on edit, it has an erase restore function. So you can size your brush, choose erase or restore. I need to restore this part of his body. So I'll click restore. And I'm just going to take this brush, and I'm going to just paint right over top of that so that I can restore that part of his body. And then I can say I want to download this, download my image. And now when I go to my slides and go back to insert image and upload, I want you to see the difference in those two. So I think the one that I removed the background in looks a lot neater. So I can get rid of this one, and then I can place him where I want him to be in my header. So other places that you can use for images, the Noun Project, Unsplash, and Flat Icon are two of my favorites. Because they allow you to use their images under the Creative Commons license, which means that you don't have to cite or ask permission. So those are some places that you can look for images. And then we also need to think about adding some text. So remember, the name of your class is probably still going to be right here. But when you're ready to add text, you're going to bring in a text box and pull it out. And for today's purposes, I'm going to use art class just because it's the smallest number of letters, and I know that we have limited time. So you will want to enlarge that, of course. Let's make it 72. Could change the color. I might want to make that a brown, similar to his hat. And I'm also going to change the font style. And I happen to like freckle face. I still don't think that that is big enough, so I'm going to try maybe 96. That looks a little better. And then you can align it center so that that'll be centered on your Google Classroom header. You can also just manually move it where you want and use your formatting grids to center. And when we're talking about fonts, you're not just limited to the fonts that are in your font styles. If you click on this button right here that says more fonts, you can scroll down through here and find all kinds of fonts that you can add to your fonts. So that's where I found a lot of my fonts. And just for the sake of time, I'm just going to copy the word art. I'm going to put it in the second example. I think I will change the color. Maybe we'll make it red for this one. And then I'm also going to copy it and put it in my third example. So you would want to add some kind of text. You don't have to, but if you do want to add text, those are the steps for doing that. So now we've done step 2, images and text. The slide deck shows you the directions. So if you're using it as a guide, there's how you add your text. And let's go back to the chat. How do you feel about adding images and text to your Google Classroom header? So same emojis. Are you good with it? Do you love it? Is it okay? Are you frustrated, or you just don't get it? 1, 2, 3, or 4. So if you just want to go ahead and give me a little bit of feedback there, I would appreciate it. All right, that's good. All right, so let's move on. Once again, if you're watching live, if you're comfortable creating on your own, go ahead. But if you're watching live, just continue with the session. You can use the slide deck for a guide later, or you can access the recording in Google Classroom. And if you're in the recording, now's the time that you would pause and create. And on your to-do list, you would add images and text to your background and try using one of the examples that we just demonstrated. All right, so step 3 is downloading. So there's 2 ways to download. The first download is if you have no motion. So remember in the very beginning when I showed you the 2 examples with no motion, that's also this example that I just created. There's nothing moving in this Google Classroom header. So I will show you how to do this one first, and then we'll move on to how to download if you do have motion. So this one has no motion. I've got it selected and I can tell because it's highlighted over here in my film strip. So I'm going to go to File and I'm going to say Download, and I'm going to pick Ping Image. And notice in parentheses it says the current slide. So it's going to download this slide as an image. And then I'm going to go to my Google Classroom and upload it. So here's my Google Classroom. I'm going to hit the Customize button and say upload a photo. Select that from, well, I can either select it from my computer, but since I just downloaded it, I can just drag it in. And then you'll have to size it. And sizing can be just a little bit tricky. It doesn't appear that it would be, but a lot of times, unless you pull and stretch and then click outside of that box, the stretching kind of looks like a rubber band. It kind of goes back and forth. So I'm going to just work in little increments and try to get this to fit the best I can. And then I'm going to select class theme. So it's updating my Google Classroom header. So see, once again, I've got to realize that the name of my class and maybe the section is in there. So I just may want to go back and kind of edit this a little bit. I may want to move the word art over. It's just going to take experience in you and just going back and forth in what you want your Google Classroom header to look like. So let's go back then and look at the slides that have motion. So it's a little bit more work. So we've got 2 slides that have motion. We've got the one with the animated image, and we also have the one with the animated background. So you're going to choose one. I'm going to choose one of those. So I'm going to work with this one. And for this one, I have to have another Chrome extension, and it's called Chrome Capture. So up on my Chrome bar, it looks like a little screenshot icon, and I'm going to open the Chrome Capture extension, and it tells me what to do. Click and drag to choose my selected area. So I'm going to just click and draw a box around my animation. And then I'm going to move my mouse out of the way. And notice that on the slides, that's in all capital letters, because I've learned from experience, if your mouse is up in here, then it's going to record your mouse. So make sure your mouse is out of the way. You're going to click the record button, and I'm just going to silently count in my head to 3. And then I'm going to hit stop recording. And the Chrome Capture menu comes up, shows me my preview. And so here I might want to do this again, just because I can see a little bit of white up here where I didn't draw my box correctly. So look at things like that. When you have your Chrome Capture the way you want it, you'll just click the Save button, and it will download as a GIF, which is the default. So really all you have to do is hit Save, and it will process that. And then I can go to my Google Classroom again. Which I'm not sure that let me see, I must have closed that, or I can't see it. Here it is, it's a different color than I thought. So I can go to my Google Classroom again, and I can follow the same steps that we did for the image that did not have any motion at all. So I can customize, upload my photo, and because I just downloaded it, it's down at the bottom, and I can drag it in. And once again, I have to size. And then I hit select class theme. And it's updated my Google Classroom header. And now I've got that animated GIF in the background. So adding a little bit of a motion can be more engaging for your students. So that's a good way to do that. All right, back to the chat for me, please. So how do you feel about downloading and uploading? 1, 2, 3, or 4? You guys have got this. This is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and close my Chrome capture. Again, if you're watching live, up to you whether you want to continue creating if you are, or just continue watching. And if you are watching the recording, it's time for you to pause and create. So you are to then download your image or your GIF, whichever you chose to create, and upload that to Google Classroom. All right, so let's look at then stop motion animation. So stop motion animation, organize my tabs a little bit here. Stop motion animation is when objects are physically manipulated in small increments. And let me just make that bigger for you. So they appear to exhibit independent motion. So look at my 2 examples. So the top one is a stop motion animation. It's using Chrome Capture, which we just used. And you can see that I had changed my Bitmoji. You can see it moving. You can see that the letters ART are all coming individually. And then the bottom example is from Canva, which I will show you how to do. It's the same type. It's still the word art. They're coming in individually. I also changed my Bitmoji up for each letter. But I want you, as you're looking at these, notice that the timing difference. So that's what I have the little clock up here for. The timing difference is this. If you're using Chrome Capture, you get to control the timing, but if you're using Canva, you don't. And so it's a little bit slower. So let's look at how we do that. So I would take my blank Google Classroom headers that are sized correctly, and I would create my first slide, adding in the elements that I want to appear. So I've got 2 sets of animated snowflakes. I've got a Bitmoji, and then I have the first letter in the word art. And then I'm going to go down to the next slide, and I'm going to change my Bitmoji. I'm going to add the letter R, and then the last slide would be my final one. So you only want the amount of slides that would create the word that you're wanting to create. And you don't even have to create a word. You can just change the placement of objects. Another one I wanted to show you, you could change the color, the background color, so that when you animated it, it would come up in different colors. So whatever it is that you want to, in small increments, be able to change in your classroom header. So we'll go back to art, and I want to make sure that I am on my first slide. If you look at the slide deck for just a second, here is some websites that may help you with this. This is a video that is explaining stop motion. I will show you Canva in just a second. And the Chrome add-on you would need to do this is Chrome Capture, which we used just a few minutes ago. And so here are the directions for using the Chrome Capture to do this stop motion. So once again, I'm going to go up to my Chrome extension bar, and I'm going to open Chrome Capture. Following the directions, I'm going to draw a box around the first header, move my mouse out of the way because I don't want my mouse in the video. And this one, to record the movement, you have to advance the slides yourself. So I'm going to have my hand on my down arrow key that's on my keyboard before I hit record. And then when I hit record, I'm just going to kind of space this out myself with the arrow key. So I'm going to hit record. And I advanced my slides myself. So that's where you get to control the timing. And I can see a preview. So when you're happy with your preview, you'll come over to the Save button, save it as a GIF again, and let that download. And then we'll go back to our Google Classroom, customize, upload a photo, and drag our latest creation in. Once again, we'll have to size. And then I can select that one as my class theme. So once again, a little bit of movement. There's still movement in my snowflakes, but then I added that stop motion movement using that Chrome capture. The other way that you can use stop motion is by using Canva. So if I open my Canva tab, what you would want to search for would be Google Classroom headers. And when I search for that, Canva has all kinds of Google Classroom headers for you to choose from. So what you would do would be choose one that you could customize. And I have already done that for time purposes and giving you kind of the same example. So I chose one of their headers and then I customized it. So similar to what we did with the Chrome capture in Canva, these are called pages. And so you would create a page at a time and you would create one page for each increment that you want to show in your header. And so I started with page 1, my Bitmoji, my snowflakes. And in order to get page 2, you hit this little button called duplicate page, and it will duplicate that page. So then all you have to do is switch out your Bitmojis, add the R, then you could duplicate that page, add your T for art, switch out your Bitmoji. You could also change background colors in those like we did, like I showed you on this one. You can add elements, take away elements, whatever movement you want to show in your Google Classroom header. And then in Canva, you'll go to download. And instead of their default or suggested ping, you're going to come down and select a GIF. And when you say download, it will also download. We can then go to Classroom again. I keep losing. And customize, upload our photo. So we can drag our next creation in, size him or her, and select class theme. And remember that the one that we created in Canva has a little bit of a slower pace to it. So it's just your preference and what you're trying to create. All right, time for chat again. So how do you feel about using this stop motion animation for your classroom header? 1, 2, 3, or 4. This one takes a little bit more work. So maybe something that you want to take some time to do on your own, but thanks for responding. And then please continue watching if you're live. If you are watching the recording, this is where you'll pause and create. And so try creating a Google Classroom header with stop motion animation, either using Chrome Capture or Canva. All right, so let's go to, let's talk about how some ideas for using this. So if you think of some ideas that you'd like to share, I'd love to see some more ideas in chat. But some of the ideas that I've had for this is seasonally. Once you get the hang of making them, change it up seasonally for your students. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm getting kind of tired of looking at all the same templates that Google Classroom has to offer. You can change it up for different units. So maybe the American Revolution, you could create one that matches your unit. You can engage your students by having them create and design their Google Classroom headers. You can make a copy of those correctly sized templates, put them in Google Classroom and have them create. And some of the ideas that I thought about for that was, so let's stick with the American Revolution, but maybe use that as a pre-assessment. Have them design a Google Classroom header telling you what they already know about the American Revolution, or a post-assessment. Have them create a classroom header showing what they learned. And then I also included in the slides a Google form that you could maybe take some of those classroom headers and have your students vote which one they would like best. So you could take a screen clipping of each one of their headers and let your students vote on which one they like best. You can share that with your students, or maybe you could use that for next year's header. Again, if you click on the slide deck here, I've included those correctly sized headers. Wanted those in lots of places for you. And this is just a little extra that I have for you. I can't click on these because I have them set that they'll have to make a copy for you, but I want to show you what they are. So if you need some additional inspiration, you can click this link, and this is what you're going to see. This is header. These are headers that come from other classes. They also came from a class that I took, and it came from a gal named Stephanie Howe at Gold EDU. And I did use some of her material on my session today with her permission. This is one of the slides decks that she shared. And so you can take any of these and edit them, copy them, put your own Bitmoji in there. The Bitmojis that are in here now are really just for placement. So lots of cute ideas in here that you can customize for yourself. I like that one with the confetti background. This was a cute idea too. So like your class roster, but in your header, this might come up pretty small in your header. And then I also have them divided up into content. So if you are a social studies or math teacher and click on one of these, it will force you to make a copy, but this is what you will see. So social studies, there's some already in here for you that you are welcome to grab and customize. I do want you to know that some of them down in the bottom have names on those, and that's just because that's the original author. And I want to keep that in there to give credit to them. So super cute, Mayflower, all kinds of things that you can customize yourself. I went ahead and opened the math one also. So here's a welcome, I love math. This might get a little busy, but what you're going to do if you need just a little bit of extra help or just want to grab some of these, that's fine. This slide right here will force you to make copies and then you can edit. And I would love to see you share if you do want to edit any of these. And so I want to show you how you would do that. All of these slides, well, I guess I do have these set for you. These are not, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back. The inspiration is the one that you have to make a copy of. The content ones are set so that anybody can edit them. So it would be anybody that's in this class or anybody that is in our Google Classroom. And so the reason I did that is so that we could all share together. So if you're a math person and you go into this slide deck, what you would want to do would be to come down to the next blank slide, and in the speaker notes, you're going to put in your name, and it's kind of like claiming the slide. So then you're going to create on slide 7, the next person may come in and create on slide 8, but we should get a few more examples to fill up this slide deck. So feel free, number 1, to grab any of these and edit them, or bring your own in and share with other content people. So that's how you can kind of get some more ideas. Maybe I don't like to reinvent the wheel. So if someone has one that I like, I'd be happy to edit that. But please feel free to share and copy these headers. And this was just at the end of my slide template. I used a slide template from Slides Mania, and it was just creating a snow globe. So I thought it was kind of cute. So I just left it in there. And I can just quickly show you how you can make your own. This was just a template. You can make a copy of this. All you have to do is grab a hold of that top bubble of the snow globe, take this gal out, go to Insert, image, and I'm just going to search for a reindeer because that's in my example, and I want it to be clip art. Just going to grab one and size him to fit and move my snow globe cover back over. And I've got a new cute little snow globe. So I thought that was kind of cute. That might be something you could just do as a time filler sometime in class. So that then concludes this session.